I'm Timothy Meadows.
I'm Timothy Meadows, too. You need to know why two people took on a project?
Well, this story is why In Private was created, and basically every story since this one. When Mark Klein blew the whistle after he realized that the NSA actively vacuumed up internet and phone call data from ordinary Americans with the cooperation of AT&T, they had a special room. And the majority of that information, he said, was purely domestic.
We believe the Fourth Amendment is a right, not an option. To read the full story and many more, visit www.inprivate.com. This is a simple outline illustrating how network connections are clustered in the application. The blue lines represent connections to the in-private network of servers. These connections are mostly required for the reasons represented in their lines. Most of these connections have local failovers in the event of connection failure. You will still be able to use Talk in Private if the in-private servers are inaccessible. The orange lines represent connections to the IRC network you have chosen to use. Key exchanges and encrypted messages will be sent over this network. Additionally, as represented by the green lines, you can establish a direct client-to-client connection using the IRC network to pass only the needed internet address and port information. This, however, does require both you and your friends to have your networks configured correctly to allow a direct client-to-client connection. This is our projected timeline for completion of the application and its initial round of add-ons. After we completed our proof of concept that showed the level of privacy we wanted could be adequately obtained through encryption, we moved on to developing a network model that would be flexible enough to allow at least some measure of decentralization, while still maintaining ease of use. The first model was a pure peer-to-peer model, and it seemed to be the obvious solution. However, we ran into two major issues. The first was, you and your friends had to know each other's internet address. Since this depends on both of your levels of networking knowledge, this could be a real problem, or, at the very least, a constant headache. The second issue was you and your friends also had to know a port number that was open on both your networks, again, depending on your level of networking knowledge. Ultimately, we concluded that while a peer-to-peer model was obviously the most secure, it was also the most troublesome for the end user to configure.
Now, the second model was a pure hosted environment. Now, this model had obvious issues right from the start. First, it was centralized. Basically, you had to trust that our hosted servers were being used as we said they were. Though, despite this massive issue, a hosted environment did solve the previous headache of network knowledge that the peer-to-peer model exposed. As long as you could reach our servers, everything worked perfectly. Ultimately, though, despite the awesome that the system contained, we concluded that there was just no way to build trust into that model.
From the previous models, we learned that if the system was going to succeed, it had to be as decentralized as possible. That's when it dawned on us. The solution was already out there. Internet, relay, chat. IRC has a pre-existing infrastructure of awesomeness. It could provide a hosted environment that you can trust. It also had the option, if you had the networking knowledge, to establish a peer-to-peer connection. It was the best of both models, all wrapped into one neat package.
But thanks to the right networking model, and hopefully with some help from you, we can complete the remaining elements of the application and its needed add-ons to create a secure messaging environment that we can all believe in once again. Now you know the why we would like you to support our project.
You know the proposed time frame, and you know the direction we want to go.
So we thank you for your time and consideration. I'm Timothy Meadows.
I'm Timothy Meadows, too. If you have any questions, please ask. Thank you.